Hey, 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 live from Denver. It is Friday night. Yeah, it looks like we got some nice sound coming across here. Comments coming in. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Critical Conversations for this 17th of May.
Yes.
In the year of our Lord, 2024. And as you can see, I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello.
We are very happy to be joined by you guys tonight. Thank you very much for taking some time and joining us.
Yeah, welcome.
Maybe we'll have something interesting to talk about. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's see. I wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget anything. So let's do, I got so many things to tell you guys about. This show is definitely about accentuating the positive, and that is what we are going to do this evening. Hello, my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello. What's happening?
I'm just accentuating the positive. She's a very big positive force in my life.
Oh.
Okay, so you have a quote for us. We have this theme tonight, why pseudoscience thrives. It was just kind of something on my mind, and I could easily kind of throw it together. So here's the quote from Mel.
All right. This is from Isaac Asimov. Inspect every piece of pseudoscience, and you will find a security blanket.
Oh, now isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
She doesn't share these with me before the show. That's good.
Not always,
that's a good one. No, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That'll fit in ways with what we're talking about tonight.
True.
You know,
I mean, we're always looking for easy answers, simple answers, fast answers, and pseudoscience will do that.
That's right. That's exactly right. Oh boy, will it. We're going to get into that. And I've got a whole little thing here to talk about tonight regarding pseudoscience. This was on my mind a little bit. I'll just share this with you because it's not, by the time it comes out, everybody will probably forget I said this. Because in August, I recorded a podcast today that's not going to drop until August with an individual who's a clinical psychologist talking about this topic. And it was quite interesting, quite an interesting conversation today. So I guess in my mind, that's still thundering around. So I thought, well, let's talk about this. That's an interesting question Beyond Jehovah's Witness asked. Melissa, when did you become an atheist?
Oh, I mean, I've always sort of had issues with a lot of religious stuff, but I guess I didn't really truly become an atheist or start becoming a full-blown atheist until about like 2015, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's when I started watching like the James Randi and the Seth Andrews and stuff like that.
You came to all that later than I did.
I mean, I had a lot of issues with religion before that, and I had a lot of stuff like that. And I always questioned, is there a God? Is there not a God? Maybe not. But then I think once I started watching those videos, it really solidified.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly did for me too.
Yeah.
Coming out of Scientology, the only thing I knew was I didn't want to get into another cult. I wanted to make sure whatever happened that it didn't happen. And so I was studying that same stuff, right? And that really kind of put me on that critical thinking path, which I'm still on because guess what? It's a lifelong endeavor. Sometimes I think we hear people like me or people on television or people in video or whatever, influencers, talk like all of us are influencers. You know that, right? We all influence people around us all the time. It's a silly term. We're not all celebrities in our little world, but we are all influencers in our world, all of us. Anyway, so where was I going with that? I got all distracted. Anyway, I just did not want to get into
another situation. Yeah.
That's right, another cult. Oh, that was it. That sometimes because we sit here on a mic and say things, that somehow it's supposed to be assumed that we're above it, that we conquered it. Because I'm explaining things to you that I know, somehow these things don't apply to me. Sometimes these things don't apply to everybody. that these are, emotions or emotional needs or critical thinking. Oh yeah, let me tell you a little bit about critical thinking. We talk about it every week. With these cards, we talk about it. Does that mean I've memorized all of these and I never commit any of these logical fallacies?
Nope. Not for either of us, It's like,
right? Hell no.
We're human beings. We get triggered, if you want to use that word, and easily, and then, you lapse into your human instincts and do silly things.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, I just wanted to make that point because I realize sometimes I will run that on people and other people will, well, you said this and then you went and did this. And it's like, well, yeah, because guess what? I'm human. It happens. And and that's just kind of how things go. Okay. It was a thought that occurred to me a couple days ago and I wanted to bookmark it to make sure I said it while we were on mic. Now, Benson Cam. We've got some Snuggles Not Struggles cam for you guys. This was literally shot minutes ago, right here. That's our mighty dog there, our super chow wow. Our bundle
He's getting so fuzzy.
Furry joy. Yes, he is getting fuzzier now. You can see when he gets a haircut, he just looks like a little pup. He looks so young, and then gradually over about a month or month and a half, he just starts 2
months. Yeah,
he starts looking like an old man again, and gets that big furry Ewok, bushy. What's that guy? Who's the diabetes guy?
Wilfred Brimley.
Yes.
Diabetes.
Kind of looks a little Wilfred Brimley-ish, with that big dog stash he's got going on there.
He does have mad face sometimes, resting mad face. But he really isn't a very angry dog.
No.
No. He might get irritated occasionally, but he doesn't really get angry.
No, I think I've seen him a little aggressive. That's the word I was looking for. I think I've seen that maybe once or twice in the time we've had him, right? Yeah. Like when he'll get that way when he sees a rabbit.
Yeah, or one time when I was hanging out with my friend and her dogs, him and her dog both thought that this treat was theirs, and they kind of got into it about it.
Exactly. He'll just he growls lower in his throat than he does otherwise, or especially when he's out on a walk. We never have him off a leash, and so he will just pull. And sometimes, yank your arm off if he sees a rabbit or a cat. Mm-hmm. Very protective of the property here as well. Mailman comes around. Oh, in fact, that might happen. The mail guy hasn't come yet. And so while we're live here, if he comes, you may hear Benson in the background.
He doesn't really chew our furniture, but he has chewed a lot of other things.
Yeah. He
like my flip-flops.
Yeah, he likes shoes, and he likes to pull clothes out of the laundry hamper for some reason.
Yeah, and he doesn't chew them up or destroy them. He just sort of pulls them out of there and drops them off in other places in the house.
It appears to me, if I'm going to get all dog psych here, that is a sort of a stress or attention drawing reaction because we're not giving him attention. Otherwise, maybe I haven't gotten out of bed yet, or some other thing is happening and he wants our attention, or he wants something right now, and we're not. And it was like, no, we're not giving that to you right now.
Yeah.
And then he'll go, sort of passive aggressively go try to grab or do something to get our attention. And it's a very funny thing. It's very interesting to me that I believe those are calculations he's actually making, as far as how he's trying to manipulate or influence us. Even dogs are influencers.
Oh yeah, they know how to get you. They know how to look at you just right.
Oh, yeah, they do. Plus the little sounds they learn how to make. Oh my God. Okay, so you asked earlier about the conference. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like I said, I'm accentuating the positive here. There were things that were not fun about that conference, but I'm not going to talk about that. Here, what I'm going to talk about is the really, really, really cool time that I had meeting my fellow alumni. That was a very unique experience for me there. Many of the presenters. There were, I think, 9 or 10 presentations or something total along 2 or 3 different tracks. And I was on one of those tracks, right? I presented. But there were lots of others. They were very interesting. They all had to do with cult recovery or understanding cult, what cults are about. But it all focused around recovery, spiritual abuse, especially, because that's what the whole thing was around and built around. So I not only got to meet some of my fellow alumni, but I got to hear, presentations from them and talk to them about, what they do and where they've gone with their degree. Some of them were licensed therapists or counselors. Some were like me, just kind of informally doing work with people. Not counseling work. I try to get the language right on this with consultation. And sort of the whole cult exit thing, cult intervention, right? That's also a thing that is out there to do. Yes, there were ex-Jehovah's Witnesses there. In fact, one connected with me personally after my presentation and seemed to love it. Said it was really great. And also, there was, I believe, it was him or another XJW, I might not be remembering this right, who attended the panel discussion. The very first thing we all did was this multi-generational panel discussion of ex-Scientologists, first gen, second gen, multi-generational. And that went great. That really did. It was like an hour and 20 or something. I think each of the things was 1 hour and 15, I think was the time on each of the presentations. So we answered questions, had things all preset on some questions, and then took a little bit of Q&A from the audience. That went really well. And anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to say about the whole thing, is that it was a one-day conference. It was not an academic conference. No papers were being presented or anything like that. It was very much for the target audience. There were about 100 people registered, I was told. I think they broke 100. There was a theater space. It was so interesting. It was out in Portland, and Portland is Portland. It's an interesting place. Been there many, many times. So it wasn't the first time I'd been there, but it was just seeing it now compared to, how it was. But one of the really interesting and cool things about Portland is some of their more historical sites. And the event venue was an old school. I think it was called the McMinnis School. And it was an old, very large H-shaped property. And this company out there specializes in purchasing these properties and then turning them into something more modern and useful. In this case, restaurant, shops, coffee shop, presentation spaces, a movie theater, all in one place. So it was a really interesting place with some pretty interesting, in a couple of cases, a little bizarre artwork. And lighting, and the restaurants were interesting. So it was a very unique. There was a lot of flavor to the location as well, which I thought was really interesting. The weather was super, super hot. It was really hot. I was sweating the whole time. Apparently it had just gotten that way. So it would have been raining up until like the day or something before we got there. But boy, was it hot when I was there. I was walking around sweating. I like Portland, but I don't like what downtown Portland or what Portland has kind of become in certain aspects. But the land, the location, the people, yeah, absolutely. I don't really have anything against Portland, but it's a unique culture there.
Oh yeah.
And there are things to laugh at there, and I'll just kind of direct you in the direction of Portlandia. Just kind of I guess it's a little bit like Boulder.
Yeah. I don't know. Boulder these days is so
maybe how it
not
used to
even
be.
hippie-ish anymore. It's just sort of yuppie-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of it's hard to stereotype because there's a large variety of people there. I don't mean to say everybody in Portland is a particular way, but there's a flavor there that is unique to there that isn't really duplicated other places. Anyway, so that was kind of fun. So that was that's the conference I wanted to tell you guys about. I did go by the Portland org. Went to downtown Portland, which is how I saw it this time. A guy picked me up and drove me from the airport, which was super, super kind of him. And showed me around and showed me the church, the 1870s built German church that Ken Garrett, one of the co-organizers of the event, he runs this church, and he's one of the ones who's put together the whole Safe Portland model for, cult support for cult survivors. And his beautiful church. It was just really, it was nice. It was solid. It was German built. It was like, wow, this place, and it was old, lot wood, and anyway, it was really kind of, I don't have a lot of hang-ups about people practicing their religion in a tolerant, peaceful way, right? I have nothing on that at all, and so I felt like I was. Sometimes when people hear that you're an atheist or you don't have God belief, they assume you're like militant or you're anti, or you don't appreciate any aspect of the religious experience. And I don't feel that's true for me at this point. I feel like it used to be true for me, but I feel like I've learned and grown a lot with that. So it was really cool to kind of absorb the space and oddly, coincidentally, there was a man there, an older man, who was literally handwriting a history of the whole building and location and everything. Wow. So he had all this information about the place, and it was just coincidence that we ran into him there. There were like 5 people there. They were setting up for a funeral. Oh, jeez. On the Saturday I went there. I went there in the morning. So anyway, very, very, or Friday, sorry, on the Friday. So it was, anyway, it was just very, very interesting. Place and as far as the Portland org goes, the other church that I went to, I didn't go inside, obviously, because I'm not going to go antagonize Scientologists with my presence. They absolutely know who I am, and they absolutely will, turn me away on site. So I'm not going to go in there or try to hassle them or anything. But from across the street, I took a selfie, and the thing that I was very happy about, and I wanted to share this part. So thanks for asking about this. Karen De La Carriere was not there, by the way. The thing that I was so truly happy about going by the Portland org was it didn't cause me a flutter of nervousness or problem standing there, contemplating it, looking at it. I've been in that building, before they renovated it. And there was just nothing. I'm just not bothered by it. It wasn't always that way. And I don't know that I'd feel that way if I went down to Big Blue. I'm not sure if I could go down there and it would just be a casual afternoon. Because I'm a lot closer. There was a lot more that happened to me there. But I think maybe, certainly different. Certainly a very different reaction than I even expected. I was wondering what's going to happen here. And I didn't have to psych myself up. I wasn't worried about anything. And that's really refreshing when it comes to encountering Scientology and Scientologists in real life. I can sit here on a mic and anybody can be brave behind a mic. That's easy. Go into the real world and it's, oh yeah, hey, put the rubber meets the road, right? Yeah. Okay. So that was the conference. Feel free to ask anything else if you want on that. But that was basically how it went. And okay, so here we go. I'm putting it down again, but this time I've been flat out for the last 2 days, last 3 days actually, getting the script finalized, the PowerPoint put together. Time has come. I'm in crunch time, and it's getting done. I'm at the last bits now. We produced, by the way, 8 videos. You and I did. Oh, okay. And yeah. For this, and I'm talking, of course, about my metering video. That's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, right here. Getting it out of the way. We're getting it done. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. That will be the podcast for this week. I will turn it into an audio. There are a lot of graphics I'm showing, but it still will hold up as an audio presentation as well, I believe. So I'm going to, the only thing you won't see doing audio, of course, is you won't see the reactions of the meter when I'm showing them. But
right, you'll just hear us talking, not see us. Yeah,
that's right. You'll hear us talking, and that'll be it. So it will lose that. But yes, it is going to be live. It's not a pre-recorded thing. I've been prepping just like I did for the tone scale video with that presentation. If you saw that, it was basically me with a very extensive PowerPoint, and I went over everything live and threw myself out there and live, and it went great. It was awesome. So we're going to do that again tomorrow. Okay, like I said, 1 o'clock Mountain Time, right here, and I will explain to you and break down for you and show you diagrams and videos what the e-meter is, what it does, what Scientologists think it does, what it really does, and how it looks, and why it's all nonsense. Because it is. In Scientology, the use of the e-meter, and you guys, I don't know if some of you have heard some of what I'm going to say tomorrow. I haven't said it all or ever broken it down as completely as what's in this video, which was the entire point of doing this video. This was literally years in the making. I spent a lot of time reading a lot of stuff to put this video together, and it probably isn't necessarily, you know, once you get something like that done, you're always like, so, yeah, exactly, Dylan, 10 years in the making. That's, I know, right? That's why I'm so happy. But this is what's happening, right? And it might not all show in the presentation. I kind of hope it does. There's a lot in there, but you guys tell me. The main thing was trying to make it technically accurate enough, but interesting enough, but entertaining enough to keep people engaged enough to actually get how it works, because I really think you guys are going to be like a little bit what the fuck when it comes to how L. Ron Hubbard explains this, how this thing works. Because it's bizarre. Like, it's really out there stuff. So, and this is what Scientologists actually, I probably should put a little thing along the bottom like South Park. This is what Scientologists actually believe, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, so that's happening. And after that, yes, I will be focusing on Mormons and JWs. I'll actually, this year is a lot about cult recovery. I announced that at the beginning of the year. I've been sticking with it the whole time. I think that's what a lot of my attention's been focused on. Oh yeah, go ahead. And that's where, oh yeah, you might need to click the button too.
There it is.
There you go. Oh. Sorry. We got an ad on the screen. Someone else gonna skip over
so
it there.
annoying.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So anyway, so I've been talking a lot about cult recovery. There's going to be more on that topic as the year rolls out. If you saw my live presentation last week, before the conference itself, a lot of my focus is on those topics and that subject matter right now, and that will continue for a while. Wow, 10 months of membership. Awesome, Juliana. Yeah. That's awesome. So, yeah, but I definitely am. Here's what's happening, right? And I'm probably going to make another little video and talk about this as a pre-recorded thing next week. But it's just amongst us girls here, right? I really can't wait because I am so done with Scientology now, and I'm going to keep doing the weekly show with Tony. But you know, guys, it's been 10 years, and I've got over I think something approximating 1,500 or so videos, maybe more, on my channel. I've crossed over like 1,200 and something clips from my Q&A shows alone. On my other channel, my Critical Clips channel, I don't know if y'all know, I have another YouTube channel, and I just post Monday through Friday. I post clips from my Q&A shows and selected other clips. And it's been going strong. And I'm still like 3 or 4 years back in the timeline of pulling clips. I just arrived at COVID's beginning. I'm like the first couple months into COVID.
So still 4 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah. So that's what's happening there. So if you haven't subscribed, it's, there's so many answers to your Scientology questions, because the bulk of that channel is absolutely Scientology related answers, from my Q&A shows. So, but every video is just one answer, just a clip. It's like 5, the longest one on there is some big ass answer I gave. It was like 20 minutes or something. So thank you, one love. No red pill, no phone calls tonight. I took the phone line down tonight, and we'll see if I'm going to bring that back up. I've been disappointed in, and that's just the fact of, the call-in line. So whatever, we'll just kind of do the show and see how it goes. But tonight, no. Anyway, this will end the Scientology dedicated content. I will still answer any questions anybody has on my Q&A show about Scientology. I have no problem doing that at all. And I will still do interviews with former Scientologists as a regular part of my podcast content. But I am not going out of my way looking for ex-Scientologists anymore. I want other survivors of other groups. I want other things represented here. There is so much more to this cult space than ex-Scientology and the tiny little ex-Scientology world that has been, created around that, which I, at this point, don't want to have anything to do with. So I'm very happy at this point to be moving on. I had really hoped last year that this was going to be a bit of a different flavor to that, ending my discussions, because I decided to do this last year. Mm-hmm. This has been a long time coming, right? Yeah, sorry about those ads. I've tried to set them on low settings, but I can't get around that.
YouTube doesn't understand what the word low ads means.
Exactly. I have actually thought about Scientology the musical, Robert. That would
be awesome.
Oh my God, that is so good. And if you could use that L. Ron Hubbard song, thank you for listening.
Oh, you could totally spin that into something, yeah.
Oh yeah. I write just for you. That's how Hubbard sings. That's how he sounds when he sings. He's a deep baritone.
Yeah, you'd have to get somebody to play him.
Oh.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. What was that one we saw, the special Scientology Christmas?
Oh, yeah, it was like the kids' Christmas pageant or something, and it was making fun of Scientology.
That was very fun. That was really cool. That came to Denver, and we love that one. Oh, my God, we stand tall. Hell yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, so that's kind of what's happening. So I am definitely in the mode here of spreading my wings, so to speak, growing my channel. But more importantly, you're going to see, some other things I'm going to be doing too. And I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver again, like I have in the past. So you're just going to have to find out when I'm good and ready to tell you. But I think you'll like it. I think there's some good stuff coming beyond just videos. But in the video world on YouTube here, I'm not shutting down my channel or going away or anything like that. So I'm very much looking forward to bringing you more interesting content that revolves around the cult space or coercive control and abuse, and how to recover from abuse, how to prevent abuse, what are the red flags of abuse, all the stuff, right? But how does this apply to other groups? I really do look forward in the future to digging in hard on Mormons, digging in a lot harder on Jehovah's Witnesses, digging in harder on Moonies, these classic big international scope cults that put Scientology to shame in almost every category except for the depths of mind control that they exert. They are bad, and don't get me wrong, this isn't the trauma Olympics or brainwashing Olympics here. They're all bad. Cults are cults. But Scientology is a real education in how to fuck with somebody's head in ways that are just, wow, really evil stuff. Really just crafty, nefarious, awful stuff. So...
I mean, just that making you believe that you had these past lives that were non-existent and that you did all these awful things and that's why awful things are happening to you now. Like, that's so messed up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, horrible stuff. So, so we're going to get into a lot more of that. I really want to break those groups down more than just we did some great stuff with the 3 apostates years ago. I've done some great work with other people from other groups, and I want to you're going to, like I said, see more of that. And I also want to try as much as I can to bring other professionals on here too for interviews and stuff like I did today with this guest that you'll hear about in August. All right. So let's get to
pseudoscience.
Yes, let's do it. All right. So I brought a little piece of paper here with some notes. First off, pseudoscience. We're going to be talking about this tomorrow too, by the way. This is definitely in the metering video stuff also. Pseudoscience is when somebody tries to pawn off on you, whether it's medical, whether it's spiritual, whether it's therapeutic, like Scientology has a kind of pseudoscience.
Primal scream therapy.
Yeah. Oh, nailed it. Nailed it. That's right. These pseudo-therapeutic cults, which is what Primal Scream was. Mm-hmm. These are what we put under this umbrella term of pseudoscience. It's fake science. It's almost science. It's wannabe science. Now, science has, just to get this out of the way, science has every and all kinds of flaws because it's practiced by human beings. It is a system of discovery, of experimentation, of evidence-based reasoning that you can get a group of people to agree on. That's the whole point of evidence. Is it's not just something I dreamed up out of my head. It's something I have to show you.
Right, and you have to do it over and over again to prove it's correct. You can't just do it once and be like, there you go. You have to do it many times.
Exactly. This is called replication. And if an experiment is not replicatable, then it's valueless. Mm-hmm. It's not good enough you did it once, right? It has to be repeatable. That's the whole point of science. And science is not a perfect system, but it's a system that's gotten us a lot of advances. There's all kinds of arguments that could be made that are not today's discussion about the moral questions that come into play when it comes to the advance of our knowledge. But it seems to me, watching people over time, that we are driven by the need to know. And as he said in Jurassic Park, just because you can, does that mean you should? Well, that question always gets asked after the fact of doing it. Mm-hmm. TNT was invented to make war too horrible to fight. Yeah, right. That's not how it works.
Nope. Just got worse from there.
Just gets worse and worse, right? But necessity drives this need to discover, to progress, to learn more, to conquer our environment. All kinds of reasons and motivations for this, but that's science. That's what science does. It lumbers forward in its lame, stupid, lumbering way, and human beings do it, and somehow we manage to pull out of that amazing facts and discoveries about our existence and about the nature of the world around us. Pseudoscience skips all of that. And that's why I wanted to go into that for a little bit of details, because pseudoscience doesn't have time for any of that.
Right.
Pseudoscience knows before it does the figuring out, it already knows what the destination is.
It has the answer. It's this.
Exactly. Right. I got the answer. It's crystals. Now I'm going to figure out how to explain it to you so you buy it, so that I align this concept of crystals and the healing power that they have with some scientific sounding jargon or backstory or framework or description that you're going to buy, that you're going to go, oh, that sounds legit. Why would you do that? There's a lot of reasons why you and I and she would do that. Why we have done that, why we would do it, and why we will do it in the future. Because We're human beings and we have flaws, and this is how it breaks down. First off, we have the problem of our biases. Crystal Gale is the only crystal I'll pay any mind. Thank you, Red Pill. So, biases. We talk about biases. We read from the cards of glory of logical fallacies every week about our biases. There are particular ones that are at work here, but all of them apply. All of them.
Oh, sure.
To this field, right? When it comes to fooling people or pulling something over on someone, preying on their ignorance is what I will first put forward as the number one thing that that sells pseudoscience to people. They just don't know any better. And here's the curse of being human. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Right? If you want to distill Dunning-Kruger, the Dunning-Kruger effect, down to a sort of foundational principle, it is that when confronted with a lack of knowledge about a thing, there will be one of two responses in a general sense. An asserted knowledge of it, an invented knowledge of the thing. Well, I know it, and I'm just going to explain it to you or tell you I understand this thing, even though you have no idea what you're talking about. Or the admittance of the truth, right? Yeah, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And somehow, for some reason, those three words are some of
They're so hard for people.
Yeah, goddamn impossible for people to say those words out loud. They're embarrassed. It humiliates them. It is difficult for them. They feel ego bruised. They feel that they are going to lose social status or standing, right? In other words, reputation, credibility, whatever, right? Standing among their peers,
Not wanting to even feel yourself that you are stupid or something,
Yeah.
You may not want to give up a certain belief or a certain thing because, then you have to look at yourself and go, oh shit, I fell for that.
Exactly. But that point of not knowing something and kind of that tickling your brain, right? I don't know. One of these two paths is going to be taken. And the kind of, if there's any proclivity, tendency, I don't know, I'm not really sure what word to use here, right? Character trait that is going to push you in the direction of pseudoscience, of accepting bullshit as real. It's going to be that inability to simply acknowledge that you just don't know, and that's okay. It's a place to be where you can then learn. You can't teach somebody something if they think they already know all about it, right? This is old as the hills. So there's all kinds of things. Yeah, you're pulling Rumsfeld card on me. But basically, as a piece of information, that is true. Okay. So that tendency that people have, and I think it's contextual. I think in some areas people don't have these emotional needs or worries or anxieties about not knowing. Like, for example, somebody in front of their kids might have a much bigger problem acknowledging they don't know something than if you had them by themselves.
Right.
Right. And it was just you and them. And it was like, oh, no big deal, right? I can tell you. So it's not a character, it's not like a moral failing that we have to judge somebody based on how they respond to this. That's not my point, really. I'm trying to just say, why do people do this? Well, this is one of the reasons. Yeah, well, exactly. It's the Scientology datum that happens to be true. Yeah, I wonder where Hubbard got it. So, okay, so that Dunning-Kruger ignorance thing is huge. It's a huge, huge part of the human condition. It cannot be ignored, and it shouldn't be ignored. It shouldn't be, not acknowledged. Okay. Now you also have a couple other things at play here when it comes to biases and our sense of certainty. And remember that having a sense of certainty, feeling like
feels comforting.
Bingo.
Yeah.
It's an emotional need, right? So that is the right word for when we are fulfilling an emotional need. We feel comfortable, comforted, secure, right? So people will stick with beliefs they've invested in, even if evidence contradicts them. And this is where we get to what's called the sunk cost fallacy. I'm sure you all have heard of this, where you believe a thing or you want to believe a thing. You need it to be true. There's an emotional investment, and it is important to you.
Because you put emotional investment in it. You might have put money into it.
Right. You've seen this.
Other people involved. Yeah.
Right? You've seen this in the diabetes world.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people will believe these gurus or whatever you want to call them about illnesses and stuff like that. And people will believe it, and they'll pay them a bunch of money and buy all their books and go to all their stuff. And you're just like, ugh.
Exactly. I will accept your statement, One Love 51 there, 51,000. That smart people never think they know everything, which is why they keep learning and getting smarter. However, I will adjust it and say people who are willing to acknowledge objective reality over their ego, but it's a lot easier to say smart, but that's not really what smart means, because I've met some really, really, really smart people who are so sure they know everything.
Yeah, true.
So there's that. But basically, yeah, under a different idea of smart there, I definitely. Yeah, Leslie, I'm sorry to break the news. I'm really sorry about that. Fortunately, the Easter Bunny actually is real. So we can be comforted by.
I don't think our friend would be comforted by that.
We can be comforted by that. Okay, I'm sorry. So sunk cost fallacy, definitely, right? So we have a need, an urgent want or desire for something to be true. We talked a couple weeks ago about medical misinformation. This is rampant throughout the medical alternative medicine world.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Alternative solutions to diabetes, alternative solutions to anxiety, to ADHD, a non-acknowledgement that these things...
Cancer treatments.
That's right. That it doesn't even exist. There is no such thing as mental illness or as personality disorders or this kind of thing.
Yeah.
People can go pretty far stretching their biases, their filters, to make the world make sense to them, and deny these sort of objective scientific kind of evidence-based ideas over their homeopathy, let's say, right? Their diluted water care. Oh, absolutely. Chiropractic care. Absolutely. Okay. So confirmation bias, our old friend. Oh, probably the second. There's, attribution error. Fundamental attribution error, and there's confirmation bias as probably two of the most committed, most violated, you could say, logical, cognitive problems that people have, right? Is they will misassign. Fundamental attribution error is when you get cut off in traffic and are sure that guy's an asshole, but when you cut somebody off, it's because you had very good reasons and you understand the context of it, and it was very necessary that you do that. But if anybody else does it, right, it's immediately...
They're wrong.
Yeah, right? We attribute to other people what we will not attribute to ourselves because we understand our situation so much better than we understand theirs. We can't see their problems or issues. We can only see ours. So that's called fundamental attribution error. Confirmation bias, which is what's playing into this pseudoscience thing, is we seek evidence that supports our existing views and ignore contrary evidence. And clearly this goes hand in hand with sunk cost and some of these other fallacies, right? Hasty generalizations and, these other ones, right? We have a set of beliefs. We have a set of ideas. We imagine the world is a certain way, or we see it as a certain way, or we've had certain experiences that absolutely tell us it's this way. So that's what our brain predicts. It's its job. That's what it predicts will be what we're going to run into in the future, is what we ran into in the past. Makes sense. Pretty logical. But when we deny or even don't let ourselves, I say that as though we always have a choice, but when we don't see, when we don't perceive, when we're not even aware of something that is being said to us or that we are reading or hearing because we feel so strongly in our belief, now we have a perception problem. Now we're literally not seeing the world around us. And that's how it works. It's crazy. You will literally hear different words than the person is saying, see different things than what is right in front of you, because your brain is so tuned and is creating a picture of the world before you're actually perceiving it. That's the sequence, apparently, that it happens in your head. It's amazingly weird stuff. You think you're viewing the world through a window that is giving you objective reality, and you're not. That's not how it works. What you are seeing in your inner eye brain process of perception is a couple microseconds late, because it's being run through your brain and processes. It's fascinating. So pseudoscientific explanations appear more certain and straightforward than complex scientific theories, and they can provide comfort even when evidence is lacking. So that's one of the reasons, right? That falls under your cognitive biases and certainty, right? The explanations are simple. Now, I'm going to show you tomorrow some explanations that are not simple. Your head's going to be spinning. You're going to be like, what the hell? I mean, sometimes gurus and cult leaders will create convoluted, incredibly complicated solutions or answers or explanations to fool their followers.
Yeah, make it seem like it's been well thought out and researched when it really hasn't.
Exactly. They use flowery language, incredibly dense descriptions of things. I can refer you to L. Ron Hubbard. I'll tell you some classic, if you want to Google it or look it up sometime. Look up the Philadelphia Doctorate Course lectures, or crack open a book called Scientology 880 or Scientology 88008. So the titles of the books, they're numbers in these titles, they're formulas. And you, well, like I said, my electrical friends and physicist friends just could not stop laughing at this material. But Hubbard was presenting this to 1950s audiences who didn't have Google at their fingertips. And frankly, even now, with Google at our fingertips, most people still aren't using it to debunk.
Sometimes that makes it worse.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? Because the stuff is all over the airwaves. Or interwebs, I guess I should say. Oh, my. Okay, good. Now, we come to my other favorite topic or category of how and why people buy into or run towards pseudoscience and why it thrives. And yes, Deepak Chopra absolutely fits the pseudoscience type dude.
Oh, yeah.
With his quantum fields and energies and this kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. That guy has no idea what he's talking about. Yeah, I hear you on that, Xenu. So this stuff also, people are motivated. And this is where we get the little bit of, it's not just the snake oil salesman, it's also the customers who are contributing to, when they buy into this, they invest in this idea, this promise, this hope. And there's an emotional investment happening there. A commitment, let's see what happens to this has to work. And so here we go. Emotional needs and identity factor into this. We can't ignore these things. Remember a couple months ago, we talked about that whole mice rice thing, like what motivates people to do something, or what is it you can use to motivate somebody and maybe change sides or turn traitor, this kind of thing. Well, remember that whole conversation we had about money, ideology, conscience, and ego, right? Being these 4 factors. Or under the Rice idea of that, it's reward, ideology, coercion, and ego. These are the ways you can manipulate people. And the reward aspect here is obvious. If it's a medical handling or cure, if it's a spiritual wellness, meditation, mindfulness sort of promise, away we go, right? Here comes the flowery language, and I am going to reward you with this. And interestingly, within these pseudoscientific solutions are often built communities of people, and they're not cults as such. There's no, you wouldn't say there's a cult of crystals out there.
No. There
are cult leaders who use crystals or crystal philosophy, you could say, in their cult, but that's not representative of the whole. There's a group or a community or a niche of people, don't all necessarily even know each other, but they commit to what you could think of as an ideology, a belief set about this subject and topic. And they can start acting a little culty, for lack of a better word, around this commitment that they have, this emotional investment that they have. And you see this in the homeopathy world. You see this everywhere in the chiropractic world. Quantum healing realm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just in health in general, you know, there's all kinds of ridiculous things to do instead of go get chemotherapy for cancer, you know, and just it's ridiculous, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And but you know, desperate solutions or desperate problems sometimes call for desperate solutions for people whose backs are against a wall. I mean, it's understandable. Again, it's not a moral failing. It's not a judgment or, you know, some kind of like you're a substandard human. You failed at your humanity. Go back to kindergarten. That's not how this works, right? It's not how I'm talking about this. There are lots of people who do talk about this that way. But that's not what we're doing here today. This is just about the reality that emotional needs exist, and people are going to do whatever they feel they need to fulfill them. And isn't it a little unfortunate that they will commit to nonsense, Scientology, you know, etc. Some of the stuff Oprah's pushed, exactly.
Yes,
right?
Both those guys, yes.
Yes, right? You ask about microdosing. There's a big topic.
Yeah, I don't know if that's pseudoscience or not yet. I guess we have to give it time and see.
Well, see, that's the thing. It is and it isn't. See, it's being studied very seriously by very serious people. But at the same time, there's a contingent of people in this country and other countries like Australia.
Caribbean country and do some shrooms and you'll cure yourself. No.
It's happening here in Denver. I get emails. I sign up to things not because I'm going to go do them, but because they're culty and I want to know how they're promoting their cultiness. Yeah. And I get this stuff right here in Denver. There are, you know, people who are unlicensed, unregulated, self-proclaimed, you know, psilocybin therapists or psychedelic therapists. There is no such thing as a licensed psychedelic therapist. There are very serious clinicians and psychotherapists who are doing very serious work looking into how to use psilocybin or psychedelics in a treatment, as a treatment modality or as a supplement to treatment or as something to explore. There's some success, there's some failure. It's a work in progress. That part of the activity or the equation isn't pseudoscience. They're practicing science. They're controlled, they're regulated, they're documenting everything. They have to get ethical okay through institutional bodies. There's a lot of very serious work there. But then you have the Mindfulness Institute of Colorado, right? And I just made that up. But and they start up and they put a formal looking logo and very scientific language in their flyers and brochures, and they will tell you, we will absolutely deal with your PTSD or your complex PTSD. Just come on down and drop some acid in our friendly, safe, warm environment where we will make a pretense of a scientific environment, right? Or a therapeutic environment. And, results may vary. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to drop some acid. Something's going to happen. I can't guarantee what, and neither can they. So good luck with that.
That's why the ones that are doing legitimate studying of it and using it are like the doctor or the nurse or whoever is in the room with you while you're doing it and helping you if anything goes wrong. Yeah, exactly. They're not giving you the balls to the wall, freaking tripping and seeing, like trees and inside, exactly. No, they're giving you, microdosing. They're giving you a little bit and seeing if that perks up your mood. They're not giving you a full on trip. That's right.
That's exactly right. So, so the thing about this is that real science done in a real scientific setting, especially on new stuff, psychedelics, right? It's boring. It's dry. It is difficult to comprehend. They use these big ass words. They're talking about chemicals and this and that and affect and other things, all this psychiatry babble and all these stuff. And your average Joe who's, looking to resolve some trauma, headaches, and he has flashbacks and he's pissed off half the time and he's just not navigating life real well. He doesn't have time to go dive into that crap and sort through that and figure that stuff out. But he sure has time to get this pamphlet and look at that and go, oh, well, this looks good and scientific. Let's go, right? It's that simple. It's not... it's not, again, some like moral failing on their part. It's, I got a problem. I need a solution to. This looks good. Let's go do it. And they don't take the time. If there's any failing there at all, it's just a lack of fact checking. That's all. It's just being willing to take a few minutes and go, well, hang on. If I was being skeptical about this, what kind of questions would I ask? If I thought this was a sham, or if I thought I needed to tell my friend not to do this, what would I need to tell them? How would I need to say this? Well, maybe look some stuff up and, ask yourself questions like that. You don't have to, go to the PhD level of critical thinking to take some of this stuff apart. It falls apart right away with the simplest of searches or investigations. A lot of the time, because you're very rarely the first person to get burned by some group practicing pseudoscience. There are Yelp reviews, So, just that little tiny bit. But the thing that prevents people from doing that is that emotional, no, I need it to be true. I need it to be right. I need this to work. You're going to screw yourself, and you're going to screw yourself and your family and your finances, and it's not going to turn out. That's whether it's Scientology or, like I said, homeopathy or EST or Landmark Forum or any of this some MLM you want to sign up for. Just don't do it. Do some research. Give yourself, respect yourself enough to do that. Okay. So that's how the propaganda that they put out has teeth. And that's who it has teeth for. It's not... There is no system of, I don't know, there's no system of brainwashing out there. There's no system of propaganda that works on everybody. Not one. There is not one line out there that every single person on planet Earth has bought into, right? It's going to have a target audience. And uses propaganda techniques, emotional buttons, logical fallacies to sell itself to that population. Every single type of pseudoscience, every single type of cult works that way. So if you think to yourself, well, it didn't work on me, good. But that doesn't mean this other thing isn't going to work on you. And you're not going to see it coming. So that's the hard part about this is you never see it coming. All right. All right, guys. So we got to wrap up. We are an hour in. So speaking of our critical thinking cards,
let's see what we get tonight.
Yes, I am going to do the live tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And guess what? We're going to do a live Q&A on Sunday as well, also at 1 o'clock. So you can join me for both days if you would like this weekend. I will probably have, because of the way YouTube works, the podcast versions of both of those won't come out until the next day. So we'll see how that works out. Just kind of, because I can't download and turn into audio a YouTube live stream for about 24 hours. Anyway, what is our logical fallacy cognitive bias?
Reactance. You'd rather do the opposite of what someone is trying to make you do. When we feel our liberty is being constrained, our inclination is to resist. However, in doing so, we can overcompensate. Wisdom springs from reflection, folly from reaction.
There we go.
That's a good one.
Oh, talk about what we were talking about tonight.
I get that. I'm like that. Like when people are trying to like make me do something, I'm like, I don't want to.
I want to, yeah, not the boss of me.
Yeah.
Wisdom springs from reflection, folly from reaction. Wow. All right. Well, good times. I want to wear my red pill. You are ridiculous. I just love you, dude, but you are ridiculous. All right. So that's the lineup. And we should have a After Scientology Straight Up and Vertical on Monday for you as well. All of this is in the pipeline or is set up to be shot and done for you. So I hope you'll join me. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your viewership. Thanks for coming around and watching, even if it's on the replay, because I know on Friday night, a lot of people are out doing whatever they're doing. But I hope that this episode tonight was useful to you. That was the entire intention of this tonight. And you all have a good night.
Good night.